I challenged myself to beat this masterpiece with only the wooden stick. Yeah, you heard me right. The legendary, mystical, goated wooden stick. Now, I was gonna call this Can We Beat Warrior Within with the wooden stick, but that's a very broad statement for a challenge. What can we consider if we can beat a game or not? I mean, I'll be playing the game vanilla, meaning no cheats, no trainers, third-party softwares, or anything of the sort. I did implement an HD modification to run the game smoother visually and with a much better camera adapted to today's standards, so yeah, there's that. To understand what we consider failure or not, we're setting up a couple of rules or else the challenge would basically die the moment we start the game. So the very first rule, and the most basic one, is we can only use the mighty wooden stick. This means no swords or even secondary weapons. I'm also not using any sand powers that deal damage, like the Cyclone of Fate for example. The second rule is that the prince can use any other sand powers, since these only affect gameplay and not damage per se, as well as any parkour tricks. The third rule applies to glitches. They need to be allowed for the run to be complete with a stick only, since some cutscenes force the player to have new weapons. However, I need to follow the exact pattern of the normal game and can't run from any mandatory fights using glitches. And fourth and final rule, to make the experience as challenging as I can, because, you know, I love suffering, the game will be played on R mode, and we can use any health upgrades. So hell yeah, masochism. Those are the basic rules, but we'll be talking about them each time a major change happens in the game and have a counter of number of glitches we can do for a successful run. So without further ado, let's begin. We start the game navigating the 7 seas with our ship and its crew. This part is pretty normal. Yeah, we do play with the eagle sword, but we can't count this part for several reasons. For starters, well, this is like the tutorial zone of the game. Second, all the enemies we kill here, so the raiders and Shadi yourself as a boss, we will get the chance to kick their asses with a wooden stick. So yeah, I'm pretty sure even if we did have a choice, we'd be able to fly through this first section. After our battle with Shadi and seeing the princess flashback with the old man, we wake up in the Island of Time getting packed by crows. And look at that, it's like finding diamonds in Minecraft. Our trusty wooden stick, just laying there on the floor. Who would ever throw something as powerful as this away? I wouldn't and definitely won't. And here comes the very first glitch. So this glitch comes separated in 3 parts, but I will count this as only one glitch since it's an entire setup. It's known amongst the community as the storage glitch. Basically, what happens is that the game stores certain actions that the prince makes in case they get interrupted. In this case, we need to hang onto this edge here, but instead of completing the full animation, one of these annoying crows needs to hit us mid-animation. What happens now is that the game thinks the prince is stuck doing that action. I had a couple issues doing it because you need to time it well, and I would either do it too soon, which isn't that bad at all, or worse, too late, which would make me fall to my death. However, upon completing it, we are now done with the first step of the storage glitch. One thing to keep in mind, fans of the franchise know that there are a couple of ledge grabs animations in this game. So for instance, we can grab ledges by wall running or by jumping. Doing those won't interfere with the glitch at all. But there's another one that we just did, in which if that part of the level is low enough, the prince will automatically climb it by just running towards the obstacle. Attempting to do so will trigger the action we just did for the glitch, completing it and making us either glitch out of the map or die. So let's make sure that any ledges we have to grab, we do it either by jumping or wall running. Moving forward, climbing up and going through the gate and ignoring those raiders, we find the first obstacle, which looks innocent at first, but it isn't. Climbing these rocks here will make the prince go back to the beginning of the encounter we had with the raiders, but the map won't be loaded, so to easily avoid this, we'll just wall run and the prince will grab onto the ledge, allowing us to climb it safely without triggering the other animation. Reaching the gate is basically the same. That tiny rock we have to climb, it's enough for the prince to just walk up to it, so just jump or wall run towards that ledge and you can cross the gate no problem. Now here's the second part of the glitch. In here we would eventually get surrounded by Shadi and her raiders, but we have better plans. We gotta position ourselves around these trees roots right before the trigger at the entrance and wall running upwards. It could take some tries, but doing so correctly, the prince will be angled perfectly against the entrance, and while jumping we can avoid the trigger that would play that cutscene. This next part is the easiest of the entire trick in my opinion. All we gotta do is be careful not to trigger the wall climb action, just wall run and quickly jump from the left side of the straight brick wall of the bridge to the right one. Doing correctly, the prince will hold onto the brick and we can climb it. Carefully adjusting the camera parallel to the bridge and the prince himself, we can walk along it and fall into this very specific spot. Finally, after tears and blood, I managed to run towards this rock, and although you can't see it, the animation triggers and completes, allowing the prince to appear at the other side of that gate. For the people wondering, so why did you just spend like 10 years of the video explaining how to do this glitch? Well, going back a little bit, if we didn't do this glitch, we'd have crossed the trigger of the cutscene in which we are surrounded. Said cutscene gives us the spider sword, so yeah, we want to avoid that. Moving forward, we find the crow master, ignore the poor bastard because it's it's not a mandatory battle, and we just move on to the first portal room. I won't lie, this is when things start getting interesting, as if it wasn't with that headache of a glitch we just did. Our mission is to follow Shadi. Nothing really happens between this and normal gameplay. We get kicked in the face, we dodge traps, basically backtrack towards the bridge, but this time in the past, we reach the main hall with the double doors closed and climb those rocks that lead us to the big room where Shadi escapes, and we gotta parkour all the way up to open the gate. After crossing it, we reach the next room where we have to fight with Shadi. I was astounded the first time by how little damage our friendly wooden stick was doing, but honestly looking back now, it was much better than anything endgame related. With a lot of struggle, we managed to kill Shadi with a wooden stick and help Kailina up. The room starts collapsing, the prince attempts murder, and we continue moving on. We do our usual shenanigans, go to the present, meet the Dahaka, have our first chase, and go back to the first portal room. Once again in the past, we move back to the bridge and go our merry way to the main hall. Now here's where things get complicated. One of the rules is to play the game as vanilla as we can. Going towards the double doors and meeting Kailina, she'll give us a serpent sword. Said sword is used to unlock the mechanism for the towers, so no can do sir. Instead we'll use zips to reach the towers. This time I opted to do the garden tower first. We need to zip our way up there by using a backflip or back jump or whatever the name is and a normal jump. Doing so and timed well, we are able to reach the entrance of the tower. Unfortunately this part is glitched since the button doesn't work for the floor gate, so going back and activating a trigger that will allow us to properly activate the place for the button to work, and we make our way towards the garden tower itself. Fun part is that for some reason the levers were already activated, so we got spared of going towards the side area to turn them on. Oh, but gameplenary, you said you would play the game as vanilla as you could and go through every part of the game. Well yeah, but there's no mandatory fights. Think about it with me, that area is literally just to activate the levers. There's no boss and every battle is easily avoidable. We're just trying not to waste too much time here, although I'll be eating my words very soon. You'll see. After turning the levers and opening the door, we go to the present and everything here is basically the same as normal. Go towards the main broken activation room, run from the Dahaka, slap him a little to show him his boss, and go back to the past again. The water puzzle to activate one of the gates is locked is easily done, and with that we're basically done with the garden tower. Now leaving the tower, we got a glitch again. Although the platforms to reach the towers are down since we never activated the mechanism, the trigger for the next cutscene is still there, and let me tell you, it seems to be a big one, as I reached the entrance to the mechanical tower and I still triggered it. Shame. Big shame. We can't trigger this cutscene because we will have the lion sword, so we gotta make a massive leap towards the other side, and so we do. Now although the tower itself isn't that bad, there's two big problems to focus on, and none of them is at the Dahaka. First of all, after the entrance we reach its outer part, and there's a problem. The door leading towards the tower is locked. No biggie, we'll just take care of these like 10 enemies and oh shit. Yeah, I completely forgot about the big guys in this game. I won't lie, it took me a couple tries. Most fights in this game are very much the same thing and all you need is concentration, but they take a long time. However, I managed to beat the big boy. It took me a couple minutes, but nothing our trusty stick can handle. After the door opens, we can now leave towards the actual tower. Once in the tower, like I said, the gameplay is the same. Turn a few mechanisms here and there, use the power of storm a couple times avoiding enemies, and we reach the part where we see the sand wraith. I almost had a heart attack because we see this giant and I thought I'd have to kill it, but fortunately the door wasn't locked, meaning it was an avoidable battle. Moving forward, we unlock a door that leads to the portal room. Back in the present, we do a bit more parkour, passing by the room we were just in and going inside a rotating platform until we reach a part that has a breakable wall. Here I managed to simply take care of the enemies, and once the exploding dogs spawn, we just gotta do what we always do, but it takes much longer until they are about to explode, and so we are by the activation room of the mechanical tower. Moving forward, we get chased by the Dahaka and reach the portal room towards the past version. So far everything is good until I remembered another mandatory boss, and again it's the same giant, but this time he's throwing those damn dogs. However, this one, due to the practice with the other giants, was much easier and I was much calmer. So yeah, it took a while, but after he perished, the rest of the play was the same. We activate the final lock to the throne room, unlocking it and backtracking towards the main hall. The giant still appeared outside, but since it's not a mandatory fight, we'll avoid it. On the main hall, the prince dodges at the Dahaka and the sand wraith gets screwed, and all we gotta do is go defeat Kailina, the Empress of Time, with our epic stick. I gotta tell you, this thing can survive world wars. When getting to the throne room and realizing she is the Empress, the battle begins, and let me tell you, it's so bad. It took me more than an hour to beat her and a lot of hours trying to beat her. And many of those tries I was almost there just to die to some bullshit. I did bring this upon myself after all, but try after try, I did it. I finally beat the Empress of Time using just a wooden stick. And after we beat her and we clash swords, our wooden stick turns into the broken lion sword. I was seeing this happen before I defeat her, but I thought to myself, let's hope it's just for cutscene aesthetics. And oh boy, it wasn't at all. After the prince reaches the beach and the Dahaka catches him, the game does give us the broken lion sword. Part of me was thinking I either roll with it because the damage is technically the same, or I go all the way back and try to find a way forward. So basically, yeah, This entire fight with Kylina was absolutely worthless since we can't finish the fight without getting rid of our stick. Here's where a lot of people might divide themselves in terms of if I beat the game or not using the stick. It's kind of why I didn't name this challenge Can I Beat World Within with the wooden stick, because the answer would differ from people to people. The idea of the video is attempting to beat it to the best of my ability. However, I already proved that the first Kylina is beatable. So yeah. Now, I did attempt to go two ways with this experience. First, the vanilla way, with big quotation marks. I loaded the save before the Kylina fight and went back all the way to the mechanical room. There is this door that requires the scorpion sword to be broken, but with zips we managed to get through it. I went forward, passing by the library and the catacombs. My idea was to basically backtrack all the way towards the catacombs and attempt to trigger the Dahaka chase from there. Unfortunately, we end up reaching a dead end. I tried to zip my way and finding different triggers to load up the area before we find the scorpion sword first in the present, but in vain. So part of me felt just like going from there, and that's what I did. Also, this hilarious thing happened when I hit the trigger to the cutscene while the prince was falling. But during gameplay, his face went back to normal, unfortunately. Anyways, running from the Dahaka that threw our sword away, we reach the portal, go to the past, and we can grab that sword. But of course, we can't replace our stick, so we ignore it and zip towards the next room. We need to open the big door to go all the way up, and so we do that. We go all around, kill enemies, save, and then the door opens with a giant inside, but this giant is even tougher than the others. And here's the thing, this is a big enough arena to kill him, although the scorpion sword in the middle takes away the space, making us have to defeat the giant in a corner, but I believe with persistence you can. Fail after fail after fail, I decided to just glitch my way up to try and see if I defeated the giant, I could move on and play the game normally. We come into another pickle, however. The way towards and in the library is somewhat normal. We do gotta zip a couple times because of some locked doors and breakable walls, but nothing too major. In the library, however, there is this part we're supposed to go around. Again, I don't know if this is a window, but the prince simply doesn't go towards the rest of the ledge. So once again, I got a glitch, and I remember this is the part where the Dahaka appears when the sand wraith is there, so the game is probably thinking we're already on that part. So even if we did beat this giant, we would have this to take care of, as well as a bunch of other weird glitches we'd have to do. Because the Dahaka chase never happened, it's also weird that I'd have to, again in very big quotation marks, backtrack towards the catacombs just to come all the way back, when the only mandatory thing is the giant that has more health than all the others in a tighter space and very few enemies. Yeah, not happening. With all this mess in mind, we're gonna talk about the second way. I went back once again to the load before Kylina's battle and glitched through the secret passage towards the throne room. We see the waifu in this really weird and sussy baka animation as if she was the imposter all along. Damn it. Because our stick doesn't open walls, we gotta go to the throne and glitch through the wall. We can't forget to save here because this next part is going to be wild. Activating the portal leads us to the present, but everything is basically screwed, so we die instantly, loading up in the area as if we defeated Kylina. Activating the portal again and now properly going to the present, everything is once again somewhat normal except by some broken walls we gotta zip to. We reach the mask of the wraith and put it on. Now the game's gotta be easier with all of our basically infinite sand. We get on our way back towards that giant arena and we fight the griffin. Ironically enough, the griffin is even easier than Shadi. The boss fight is counted with the amount of hits, not actual damage. I take it it's because the griffin recovers health slowly, and it seems that the wooden stick is actually the fastest weapon to kill it due to its 2 attack only combo. Either way, after a couple of swings and dodges, the griffin goes down easy peasy. After that, it's all the way towards the garden tower, going to the present and find that the Dahaka crushes us against a wooden door that I'm still wondering how the hell did that even appear unless some construction workers built it. Everything up until the fight with Shadi is completely normal until we hit the next part with a shipwreck. Killing some enemies and blowing some walls with dogs, we move our way towards the falling platforms until we come across a floor that is gonna fall and a wall that needs to be broken with a scorpion sword. Of course, we still have our trusty wooden stick, so we gotta zip through that wall. Although it is pretty hard to zip through it, with a couple of tries we can make it right before the floor falls and pass this area. We move forward, the sand wraith prince throws an axe at the normal prince and we pass the lava pipe puzzle that leads to the catacombs, beating some enemies and opening some doors, climbing through some obstacles, and we reach the library's entrance in which we have to zip through. After that, until the main hall, it's all the same. We open the door, climb shit, the Dahaka appears, we beat its tentacles with a stick, which is pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. And going through the cave normally, opening doors, arriving at the mechanical tower, and going all the way back towards the main hall. The Dahaka appears, we psych the other prince and he gets taken, mask falls off, and we meet Kylina. During the cutscene, it's crazy how we end up breaking the throne's wall with the wooden stick. This guy could break walls all along and we didn't even know it, god damn it. Either way, we send Kylina into the present and prepare for the final battle. And it's super bad. So Kylina herself is easy to kill if you get her rhythm. However, in this final fight, oh yeah, it is 100% possible. impossible, if you're willing to waste an entire day beating her ass with a stick. While recording, I realized I was taking a pixel away from my health bar each minute, and it depended on how much she would use her powers to slow down time. Here's a cool trick I found on some YouTube comment that I'll put here in case I don't get too lazy. The final boss would be unbeatable if the arena we play on is in a closed space, like the throne room. Lucky enough, it isn't. So we can beat Kylina. She uses her power of time to slow it down after a few hits, and we can just cower on the ledge until time runs out. Unlike the first game, time wears out after 8 seconds instead of 10, so imagine taking a smidge out of her health, waiting 8 seconds, beating her a bit more, and this is without talking about how random the fight can sometimes go, even if you keep the rhythm on with all her teleportations and attacks. Sometimes you can hit her more than just a couple times before she chooses to either slow down time, which is the scariest outcome, or attack. Counter-attacking is a bad idea, by the way, but as long as you keep on the edge of the arena, she's beatable. Could take you hours upon hours upon hours, trial and error until you get it, but she's 100% beatable. I already spent a long time beating bosses, and this would just be another one, and probably this video wouldn't come out as fast as it did since I can spend long hours beating bosses to my will. Kylina's fight alone, all of my attempts took in total a day and a half, although the full fight went a little bit more than an hour. This one would easily take 2 or 3 times more than that, because somehow she is stronger, although she's the same Kylina we fought, but okay, maybe time traveling made her stronger, who knows. Also be careful to not let her do her teleporting while you're hanging. It can have unexpected results. Now this can only be done in the casual ending. Even if somehow we did get to fight the Dahaka with a wooden stick, unless the fight went like the Griffin, which is unlikely, we wouldn't be able to finish the game. Even if somehow we managed to get it to half health with Kylina bringing him down, it would be impossible to kill him since this event is timed. If the prince takes too long while he's pinned on the edge, hitting it with a wooden stick, then the Dahaka gets up and recovers part of its health. Once again, both cases for both endings are suppositions. However, it is entirely possible to beat the game with the casual ending, if you're willing to spend the remaining of your brain cells and lifetime trying to beat it. Not even Dark Souls is that ruthless, but I gotta say it was so worth it attempting different routes, different zips and glitches, even when in-game cutscenes keep the wooden stick. It's hilarious seeing some events altered because of certain triggers we didn't hit. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. I really enjoyed the pain and I hope you enjoyed it with me as well. Take care and don't try this at home.